Right, that's recording now.
Okay.
Right, so what should we do for an intro?
What's our title again?
Oh, fuck it, that's the intro. Right, anyways, hello, welcome to, welcome to the State
Welcome
of
to the State of
Podcast.
Podcast, the podcast
That's
where
the
we
intro.
analyze
That's good,
where
I'm
we
fine with
analyze
that.
the state of things in the media. Today, we'll be talking about the DCEU at large, and mostly Zack Snyder's Justice League.
The
Coming
only
from the
version.
point of two very much Zack Snyder fanboys, though,
Well,
so
yeah,
incredibly
me more than you.
biased. Yeah.
You know,
This man liked BVS when it was in cinema, so this is what we're
I
talking
liked
about.
this when it was 2.5 hours long. But anyway, start off. Have you seen or have you heard the recent news about Jared Leto's Joker? About his
he
new
is
redesign?
he's gonna have like a leather jacket. I think the rumor is, isn't it?
Well, it's sort of strange because like there's a couple of series going on. Like we might be able to see, because it is confirmed that they are going to touch on Dick Grayson's death.
I'm also gonna have to state we are very much Jared Leto fanboys.
Yeah.
Not so much as Joker, but just as a person.
As a person, as a human.
As a person, we are both very obsessed in a very metrosexual way with Jared Leto.
Unlike Jared Leto. Unlike Jared Leto.
Unlike Jared Leto himself. We'd actually be the very thing Jared Leto hates. Fanboys of Jared Leto.
Jared Leto doesn't actually like people. That's why he's never married.
He says it's like he's just waiting for he's skipped over the part of his first divorce.
Well, it wasn't even the first divorce. It was just he was engaged to Cameron Diaz, and then after that, they just really was never engaged again.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, anyway.
Yeah,
DC.
back to DC. So many
Leto's
tangents.
back.
Should this not just be the tangent podcast? Yeah, that's what this is going to be. It's just going to be the state of tangents. But no, anyways. I mean, I'm very excited because, Zack is going to do a very sort of dark and gritty version of him. And I kind of can't see that because we don't actually know what Jared Leto's Joker is like because of the fact that, most of the scenes were
we
cut.
Didn't see the film.
Yeah.
It was like 40 minutes worth of footage. That was
40 or 50, like it was a big chunk. Like the first 40 minutes of the film were completely reshot anyways. This is the Suicide Squad, like.
Yeah, we know some things. We know he's probably going to have long hair in the new film because...
Possibly.
From
until
our daily stalking.
Yeah, until he uploads a photo
Instagram,
of him.
He still has long hair.
Maybe it's all ruse. Maybe he's just been like saving these photos and uploading them, just so no one will take any heed to the fact that he's going to show.
Anyway, next on the state of Jared Leto.
Yeah, that's what's going to be by the end of this. It's just going to be Jared Leto special of a podcast. But no,
entire podcast
dedicated to Jared Leto's beard. But no, like I think Zack especially because he did confirm that there will be touches on Dick Grayson's death. So I don't know whether we'll get like flashbacks or there were rumors that apparently Jared Leto's Joker is going to be in the nightmare sequence in this one.
Well, then there's rumors it's also going to be just the end of the film and it's going to be set in Arkham.
Yeah. So there is there's a lot going on.
It all depends on if Affleck's back for that solo series.
Which is seemingly coming closer and closer day by day.
Yeah, Alex makes fun of me because when Pattinson was announced for Batman and the director, who's directing that film again?
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves.
We should be doing the podcast.
Yeah, probably not. I'm not a state of mind, apparently.
Go on.
I told you I was supposed to take notes.
This is fine. Fuck the notes. No, you don't want to. You don't want to show
it.
behind the curtain, because then people sort of, they'll be turned off.
They'll begin to see the cracks.
No cracks. This is perfect. Right, go on. This is Justice League.
When Matt Reeves was announced, Affleck left the role. I was a bit, I'd love to see a solo film, but Justice League was terrible, and I didn't really like the BVS at the time. I hadn't seen the extended cut yet. So I was sort of like, yeah, and Pattinson, I was like, oh, that'll be good. He'll be good for the role. And then and then I saw the trailer. I was like, this trailer's amazing. It's gonna be like the best Batman film ever. Then the rumors started going. Affleck was back on set.
Yeah.
In the suit.
Yeah.
apparently he's gonna get a solo series. Apparently it's back on.
HBO Max.
I immediately jumped ship
Yeah.
and stopped caring about Pattinson's Batman. And Alex says like Alex, and I was telling my brother as well about this. It's like, oh, you really jumped ship jumped ship quickly. I mean,
well, like, and then there's me, who's like, that Rogue One meme. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. I've been waiting this for too fucking long.
Alex spent years convincing me that I needed to watch the Ultimate Edition of BVS, and my argument was always, I hated the regular one. Why'd I want to see it longer? Which is what everyone says when you try and get them to watch it. But you just have to persist. We're seeing a lot more people jump on the bandwagon now.
More the fact that it's been confirmed. Well, not even that. When it became confirmed, like, for example, it got a massive traction.
Oh, 100%. That was when HBO Max was like, oh, they don't even have the regular cut on there.
Well, yeah, no, they did, and then they removed it.
But there's no reason to watch it, like, ever.
Well, the only sort of good reason to watch the original cut is as a comparison. Like, in terms of, like, because I know, I'm doing a film degree and all, and, like, I know I'm going to be doing a dissertation on definitely this, because it's such an interesting cinematic experience and insight into not just the process of filmmaking, but also how interference can ruin a film and, like, the artist's vision.
Well, the DCEU is, like, the greatest example of that.
Yeah, because, like, at some ways, Warner Brothers are really nice, because they do let the directors and the people who work on the film, they let them sort of, like, do what they want, but then it's only when they see, like, obviously a rough cut of the film, they're like, oh no, change this and stuff. But they're very good in terms of allowing them to at least experiment first, whereas with Marvel it is just, right, you have to kind of do this.
The Marvel guidebook.
Yeah.
With Marvel, we have, 23 films, and I'd say that 18 of them are very similar.
There's only a handful that kind of, like, stand out different from the rest. Like.
Yeah.
Whereas DC, everyone, like, right, for example, like, Man of Steel and BVS, these feel like a Zack Snyder film.
Yeah. Well, Man of Steel was heavily.
It was very Nolan-sized, but then there's some...
You can't say it wasn't.
You do... Oh, it's such a Nolan film. And David S. Goyer. But, like, if you look at, like, BVS, you're like, right, this is definitely Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder. And then from judging just from the trailer alone of Zack Snyder's Justice League, you can really see the BVS aspects from that, like, from not just Chris Terrio. And then
Justice League had all the awkwardness of the first Avengers film.
Yeah. That was somehow... I don't think it was as bad as the first... I think it was just the fact that looking at it now, it is just as bad. Like in 2012, it didn't seem bad. But, like, if just that Justice League came out in 2012, it wouldn't have done very bad. It wouldn't have done poorly. It would have been received very well. But now it's just the fact that we have moved on from that.
Moved past it.
And this was, like, Justice League released 6 months before Infinity War. And that was a game changer. Because at that point, Marvel had become very, like, oh, right, this is this. And, like, DC were viewed as, all right, we're going to, they make dark, terrible films, and the only kind of successful films at that time had been the Nolan trilogy, because, like, Green Lantern had failed. No, this is... Oh, yeah, no, you're right, yeah. I just hadn't seen it in 2017.
We had to take notes. Have you even seen Wonder Woman yet?
Yeah. No, I have seen it, yeah. No, I have seen it, yeah. But it was just, I didn't see it until, like, was after Justice League. But I hadn't seen it in cinema. It's the only DC film I haven't seen in cinema.
I remember because I saw it on, like, 1 hour's sleep or something like that. Because the night before, we did a Raimi marathon.
Oh, yes.
Of the Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
So, like, I walked into it just saying, it won't be as good as Tobey's Spider-Man. Still the...
Was this Homecoming, or was this...
I think it was out of spite of Homecoming, even though I quite like Homecoming, but I just thought it was funny to have a spiteful viewing of...
Well, this is my thing.
Trilogy just saying there.
Like, Spider-Man Homecoming was the first, like, sort of, like, film at that time that I sort of went in not having seen a trailer for it. So I knew nothing going in. And I remember watching, I was like, holy fuck, this is great. Like,
this is actually just a demo for next week's The State of the MCU.
Say the MCU next week, yes, of course. I forgot what the topic of conversation was. Well, it's kind of hard to talk about one and not the other. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but there's a difference between, talking about the other and saying, let me tell you about when I went to see Spiderman Homecoming.
That's going to be a story time for Monday night's viewing.
The state of cinema.
Yeah. Oh dear, we don't want to talk about that. That'll be a heavy topic, considering it's dying.
A little bit.
But
put it out to pasture.
Like, DC's really on the ball, and I really do think it's DC being on the ball started with the announcement of Zack Snyder's Justice League, of the Snyder Cut back in May, I think it was, and because
argue it was when Joker came out.
You think?
Yeah.
No, because I think at the time people were like, Well, I think in terms of DCEU and not just DC, if you know what I mean. Because
are we talking about DCEU or are we talking about DC?
DCEU, because DC, like, people label Joker
then it was
Nolan's trilogy, for example. They don't really view it as like a DCEU kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, people saw Joker as the nail in the coffin of the DCEU.
Yeah, because they thought, all right, from now on, we're going to be doing more serious orientated films. But I think the weird thing about DC was it was just like you had that, and then your next film was Birds of Prey, which couldn't be like, it was so far different to its previous film that it's like a nice juxtaposition in a way, because I like Birds of Prey. I don't think it's the best film in the world. I don't think it's a bad film.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's like Aquaman for me. It's like a nice, cool, fun, let's lay back and have a bit, crack, basically. Like,
well, I think it's a film you can only watch in the cinema, though.
Yeah. Because I think it's really entertaining action. Like, it's not anything that blows you away, but it's just entertaining, And the story standpoint, it's like, all the actors doing their thing. They're all nice, different characters, which I enjoy. Like, none are kind of the same. But
there's a bit of a throwback to those sort of standalone 90s and all action films, like Men in Black and all.
Yeah.
Where it's like a standalone kind of action comedy film.
Yeah, because I know like stuff like Shazam feels like, like a classic family comedy from like the 80s or 90s sort of thing as well. Like
the John Hughes ones.
Yeah, like a John Hughes film, and that's what I kind of like. Well, we're not comparing Birds of Prey to John Hughes. But no,
no,
like,
can't say
I think, Shazam has like kind of nice quality to it. Aquaman, I have like kind of like cool Indiana Jones, but at the same time, like, imagine Indiana Jones but romancing the stone. I think that's the only way to kind of describe Aquaman.
I don't think, Aquaman does a little too much. I don't think it needed to do that much in one film, which has been a major issue with the DCEU.
Yeah,
is the fact that they're just they're throwing a lot of storylines together.
Yeah.
Even BVS does it.
BVS does it weirdly, because it's like, you don't think it would do it well, but it does do all of these well. Like, it does have, like, it adapted, Dark Knight Returns. It adapted the Dark Knight Returns in a really weird way. I know you believe that it was too soon, considering Dark Knight Rises was just...
I have a major issue in the fact that it feels like the only thing they've ever really known how to adapt. They only know how to adapt so few Batman storylines. Like, Nolan... Year one.
That's just Batman Begins. Year one is actually better than Batman Begins.
And Dark Knight Rises is quite inspired by Dark Knight Returns in aspects, and then of course Tale of Two Cities as well. But the whole, and then like we had Dark Knight Rises, which was quite Dark Knight Returns-esque.
But
and then we had another one that was
at the same time.
It didn't, but it was. You could tell that was the thing. Comic he read.
Well, this is the thing. Like, you just know, like, Nolan isn't a comic book fan, and you can tell.
No.
But the Dark Knight trilogy never really tries to be comic. Well, the Dark Knight alone. We've discussed this. I know. privately, but like Dark Knight in itself is just not a comic book film at all, and it's not trying
No,
to be. It's trying to be like a gritty thriller in a sense.
it's like yeah, I would say it's quite a speed crime drama as
Yeah.
opposed to anything else.
Um.
Which is why then people were drawing the comparisons between Joker with Joaquin Phoenix and
Yeah.
The
Because
Dark Knight
like,
because
well, I think it's
they were
weird
comic book
because
films.
like people do that. People do that in a way, but I think Joker is like it's more of an art film than the Dark Knight. Dark Knight, you have it nailed, spot on with that. With having it more of like a thriller esque kind of like crime drama, but Joker is more of a art film. Like it's like you could see someone like Stanley Kubrick making that.
Well, Joker's very interesting because it was that kind of an art film, but it kind of just banked on the name to get
Mm.
mass appeal and viewership.
Mm.
Like everyone wanted to see that film. It
Yeah,
was
no, it's weird
everywhere.
because it was
In a
such
way that
a
like if it wasn't Joker, it would have been the same quality
yeah.
of film, 100%. Because I don't think the actual Batman lore does much for the film.
No.
Not to take away from the film,
Mm.
but like it could be the same film regardless.
Yeah.
I think the only thing it does is to kind of swerve the audience into thinking that Arthur and Bruce Wayne are siblings, and of course, spoilers, that's not the case.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't actually add much to the lore. Joker was 100% just name value
Yeah.
to add to it.
Because I
To the point where
know
it wouldn't
especially.
surprise me if it started life not as a Joker film.
Well, no, weirdly enough, because I know Todd Phillips, director himself, he was saying he was like, yeah, he wanted to make a character study, but he wanted to make a character study that people would watch, exactly. Because, like,
Yeah.
Taxi Driver, for example, which is a massive influence in terms of, like, Joker, set around the same time period. Well, 10 years after Taxi Driver, but it's like sort of like 80s, like New York in a way, but weirdly enough, Joker's set in like its own sort of like it doesn't feel like New York at the same time because I know Tough also describing New York's flat. New York doesn't have like any hills or anything like that, but what you see is there's a lot of hills in the city. That Arthur has to climb up every day and stuff like this, which it tries to make you feel like this is New York, but it's not at the same time.
Sort of it's. Well, Gotham's always been an amalgamation of a bunch of cities.
Yeah, because like in Nolan's, it was like mainly Chicago because they mainly did film in Chicago.
Until you get The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises is like, all right, we're filming in London.
No, it
And it
was New
looks
York
like
as well.
Oh yeah, no, it looks like New York, but it's like you're there and you're like, I don't think this is in New York. When you see like the some scenes, you're like, this looks more like London to me. But it's all those establishing shots, kind of like, right? No, this is New York. It's New York. It's like, what? This doesn't make sense. In the previous films, the layout's completely different.
And of course, Matt Reeves, the Batman, is filming in Liverpool and was it London?
It was Liverpool and Glasgow.
And Glasgow, so it's going for.
It's going for more of a gothic vibe, though. Like if you've seen in the buildings and stuff.
Kind of, almost. Well, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna throw shade at Liverpool and Glasgow.
Liverpudlians. Nothing wrong with Liverpudlians. I lived in Liverpool for a year.
I have Scouse friends. I swear.
But yeah, no, like going back to the Justice League, Zack's works very differently to Nolan's in terms of Nolan goes for very practical, right? This is real, basically. This could be like a real thing that's happening right now. Whereas Zack's done a very good job of making it feel realistic, but at the same time ensuring that right now this is a comic book universe.
Well, its believability within the universe is kind of what the MCU does, where like consistency, and people will believe the world.
Because like Zack has it like right. If you look at Batman's like suit, it's like that looks really cool. That looks like something a cosplayer would wear and it'd be really cool. But it's like that thing looks like it's made of cloth and it's not iron. It's not like has steel running through it or Kevlar or anything like that. But it looks like a comic book, and you expect it to act like it would in a comic book, where it's like right, yeah, it is bulletproof. but it doesn't have to look it. Whereas like Nolan's like, right, this is a tactical suit. This isn't gonna, this is more realistic and stuff.
There's big scenes of exposition about how the suit was made and where it came from and what it can do and what it can't do.
Where in Zack's, it was just like, oh, sure, you just expect this to happen. It's like, yeah, because it's a comic book universe. This makes sense,
Well, especially because we weren't going for a year one story.
No.
We were doing a season Batman because we were doing Dark Knight Returns. So you kind of like, when you have a Batman who's already established, you can kind of just say, he already has that. It's fine.
Because I do like this, like, I know you see little things like, when Alfred's fixing like the suit and like BVS, and he's like, oh, need a, like, that's the inside of what it looks like. That is the armor plating of it.
Yeah. Was that not the more advanced suit he was fixing?
That is the more advanced suit, but that is basically, it's trying to show you, right, that's what his suits look like in the inside, where there is this layer,
of armor.
And it's, I was talking to a lot of people, and they've all said, I don't like, since when's Alfred, a big tech guy? And I'm like, Alfred's always been a very big tech guy. This makes a lot of sense. Like, he's the guy behind the scenes. Like...
It's because, people kind of saw the Dark Knight trilogy and assumed that's Batman 100%. That's the accurate Batman because it's the most popular Batman we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And people then looked at like the 80s and 90s 4 films and saw them as like kid shit. So just don't pay any attention to that. That's nothing. And then they just took everything Nolan did as gospel.
Yeah. Well, this is the same because everyone
Joker
loves
having
Nolan.
Scars as the smile. People assume that that's what every Joker has.
Yeah.
Joker having long hair has become a very common thing.
Like even in like games like Injustice and stuff, like the most recent Injustice and all, like
where the designs carried forward.
Yeah.
So, the Batmobile being a tank. And all his training being done with Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul in that series.
Yeah. Which Nolan fucked up.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just like Liam Neeson's accent just changed on the day.
Yeah.
And they kept it then for continuity.
But Raish is easier to say.
Yeah, it could just been Raz. Yeah, he was too busy worrying about his stand-up comedy career.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I love Ben Affleck's Batman. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, he kills and stuff. It's like, well, it makes sense within the context of BVS. Him killing aliens, I'm pretty sure is okay. Because it's like, to him, these aren't people.
That was the same thing with Superman. He didn't view Superman as a person.
No.
Well, what Snyder kind of does, it's the characters from the comics, but you change one aspect from it. So this is that Batman, but this happened to him. Superman is the Superman from the comics, but he's in a world.
If you get that Superman and you put him in a world, like our world now, that is so...
Yeah.
It criticizes everything. And you're always wrong no matter what side you choose.
Superman's supposed to be the beacon of hope. I've heard as a common criticism. People are like, he just doesn't act like Superman. It's like, he kind of does.
Yeah.
This is that Superman, but if you put him in a world that doesn't act like that, because that isn't the way the world acts.
Yeah.
If this person appeared and tried to say, I know it, I'm just here to help out, no one would believe it.
I mean, they have the whole montage, which is probably one of the best things I've ever watched in a film. Just the whole montage of, should there be a Superman, like...
Yeah.
And you just see, because that is what the world is like, and that is exactly how the world would react. And, because, like, the whole basis of Man of Steel was, all right, the military versus Superman. And when it came to BVS, it's like, well, what's worse than the military? Media. And the media itself portrays them in different ways, because that's what it's like.
Everyone is so influenced by the media.
Yeah.
Everyone takes the media gospel, which is what Bruce does.
Yeah. Because Bruce is he is like, he's a member of the world.
it wasn't because Bruce was there on the day. That was one of the aspects.
Yeah.
Because Bruce was there on the day, but he didn't see who was doing what between Clark and
Yeah.
Zod. It
He
was
didn't have
all
context. He, like everyone else and the media, just saw Superman destroying the city, and that's how everyone viewed it.
Yep.
Because the world was fine until he was here.
Yep.
And
him and Zod came in at the exact same time.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, well, these two are the exact same people. And it's only in BVS that, I mean, it's sort of sad, you know, because I think it is the best way to develop the death of Superman. I know there was heavy criticism, but it's like, no, this is how. So Death of Superman should be like, oh, everyone's like, oh, well, no, this is the way you should end the character and stuff. It's like, no, this is the way the character should be almost born in a way.
Well, that's what started his Superman sort of most iconic run, I'd say, in terms of what people have read. Is post Death of Superman. That's when he did all the real Superman-y stuff in that sort of pre-52.
Because I think, like, Zack's a massive comic book head. Like, he's not done a Nolan where he's just read this one and that one. Because there's a lot of stuff he does, and you're like, oh my god, okay, you've read that. And it's just the fact that he got this Superman, he put him in the real world, and he killed him. He did the most controversial thing you could do, and is you kill Superman in his second film. I don't think there's any superhero that has, died in their second film, if you know what I mean. Like,
it would be like if Batman died in The Dark Knight, and then Dark Knight Rises with the city trying to cope with the Bane thing without Batman.
Yeah. Like, that's exactly what's trying to... Like, it's a very controversial thing, but in terms of an arc, it makes complete sense, because...
But it doesn't work in a theatrical cut.
No.
It doesn't at all.
Well, see, the theatrical cut doesn't work at all in terms of... It's such a choppy mess.
Like, Clark has no arc in the theatrical.
Well, they took. Sure, I remember. You see a fact on Instagram, and everyone's saying it was like, Spider-Man had more lines in Civil War than Superman had in BVS. It's like, yeah, because most of his scenes were cut. It's him investigating. All you see is Bruce investigating. This is, I think, the biggest problem with BVS. Everyone took Batman's side because in the theatrical cut, you only see his arc. You don't see Superman's side of investigation. And that's what ruined the film.
100%.
Because everyone doesn't view, like, Batman is the villain. No one understands. Everyone's like, no, Batman can't be a villain. Sure, Batman didn't do anything wrong. Like, it's like, no, that's the thing. Batman is wrong. He just thinks he's right. That's the problem.
The thing is, Batman always thinks he's right, which takes us back. I wanna talk about this because we've talked about this
religiously.
Religiously, it is both of our favorite line
in the entire film,
in the entire DCEU. It is my favorite line. Where
it sums up this character 100% completely.
Can you edit that line in?
Do you want me to edit the line? I'll edit this line in. Yeah.
Do a timestamp.
Okay. So right, do you want to introduce the line?
Well, I just read off the line so you can.
No, we'll just be like, so this is the line.
So this is the line.
Master Wayne, are you receiving me?
Alfred, it's Kryptonian. Only kryptonite weapons can kill it.
They might, if you had any left.
I got one round left. The spear. Alfred, the spear. It's pure kryptonite. It's back in Gotham. If I can penetrate the skin, the spear will kill it.
It would in theory.
I gotta get it to chase me. Back to the city. Back to the kryptonite.
Okay, I think that'll be enough. Like, I'll cut it between that.
Yeah. I love the line because it's the single most Batman line that has ever been said ever.
Yeah.
Because Batman won't stop until the day is saved. He won't stop, especially because Gotham's under threat. And Superman's reportedly dead. There's no and left. There's this big fucking Kryptonian monster running around, and Batman's just like, "Ah, right, how do I kill this? Oh, I have the spear."
I'm the only one left.
Like,
I have to do this. Because, like, a lot of people forget, this is, like, right, for context, this is before Wonder Woman comes in. This is just, right, Batman, Superman, and now that Superman's dead in the sky, it's like, okay, right. Batman's like, right, I'm the only one left. I'm the only one who can do this. Like, you know, I'm gonna do it.
Gonna do it, and he has no doubt that he'll be able to do it, especially because it's not even like he has like a kryptonite gun or something long range. It's a spear. It's literally a spear.
It's not even like
which is a weapon he just made with like the leftover kryptonite he had because he made like the gas and all.
Yeah, well, that's what I love.
Just, like,
because before he even thinks about the spear, he's like, Alfred's like, oh, you know, if you've any left, I have 1 round left. It's like he's gonna kill him with 1 round. That guy. I love how that's his whole process. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll just shoot the gas and kill it. Like, he's like, no, honestly, that's how it's gonna work. And then he's like, oh, the spear, yeah.
He's like, oh, I have the spear, it's fine. I don't have to worry about it, Alfred. The spear will save the day.
It's pure kryptonite.
Keep in mind, when the final battle actually happens, Batman doesn't do anything, because Batman can't do anything.
Yeah, it shows how, you know...
he's just trying to set up his 1 shot with his 1 round, the entire final battle.
Well, this is the whole... I think this is why it's such an eye-opener for Batman, because it's like, oh my god, I actually can't defeat this person.
Yeah, which is why he's like, yeah, we
have to set up a league.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, I mean, this is what I love about, because I'm going to view this as a trilogy, because we don't know, it's not confirmed that there's going to be a second Justice League or a third, anyways. Cause,
everyone, go out and make sure you pay for Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, everyone go and buy it, so then we'll get a sequel.
We'll get the trilogy.
Buy the Blu-ray and 4K copies.
Buy both. Buy every copy.
Buy every copy. It'll be like fucking E.T. Atari video game. Buy every copy you can.
I don't care if you leave it in the desert, as long as it's made money.
But like, this is the thing. Like, I just love how it really works as, well, I'm going to say a trilogy and not a 5-part story, but it really works as a trilogy because Man of Steel, right, that works as a film. It could work as a solo film, that's fine.
It works in trilogy and Viewing Clark is the main character, I'm just going to say.
Yeah, now if you go then to BVS is just a reaction to what happened at the end of Man of Steel and what happens in Man of Steel, and it deals with those outcomes throughout the entire film. And this is how a really good trilogy is done, and this is the problem with most trilogies in a way. And then with Justice League, we're going to get, right, the whole film's going to be dealing with the consequences of what happened in the previous film, because, like, in BBS, first scene...
Suicide Squad kind of did that as well.
How so? Oh, yeah. It dealt with BBS. In a way, yeah. It's sort of we don't know, because we haven't seen the air cut yet.
I'm going to assume it may have even done it more.
Because, like, Justice League, the opening scene is going to be, it's confirmed it's going to be the death of Superman in BVS, and from new shots, but from a different perspective, and Lois's perspective, much like Bruce's perspective in BVS to Man of Steel. And it's really interesting because we really didn't get to see Lois Lane mourn. And seeing her mourn will really have more of an impact in the film itself, like
than her commenting on the smell of Clark.
Yeah, because like Amy Adams, for example, she's such a good actress. She's such a good actress. She's really underrated.
Oscar winning or just Oscar nominated?
She never won an Oscar. She's just Oscar nominated. Like, or maybe she hasn't been Oscar nominated.
No, I swear she was for like American Hustle.
Oh yeah, I think she was. Yeah, but this is the thing. Like, she'll really be a big part of this Justice League film, because you're gonna see, that there's gonna be like 2 storylines going on. There's gonna be Lois dealing with this, and then you're gonna see Batman and Wonder Woman setting up the Justice League. And those are gonna be 2 like switch in betweens until they actually collide.
Be most of the first episode.
Yeah.
Because of course it's a 4-part miniseries.
Yeah, it's
now,
4-part
not a
miniseries.
film.
But I do like the fact that it's not just a 4-part miniseries, that it will be a 4-hour-long film then. I do like that aspect
I don't know if
of it.
I'll ever watch it as the 4-hour film.
Oh, I so will. I so will. I so want to watch that as a trilogy, because I think it'll really work as a trilogy.
I'll do it in one day.
Let me think. How long would that be? 2.5, 5. That would be 9.5 hours.
I mean, we've done longer.
But like for a trilogy, we haven't done that.
I mean,
realistically,
Lord of the
each
Rings-
film
shorter
being
than Lord of the
3
Rings.
hours, each.
Yeah.
That's mad. But yeah, it's because like most trilogies do suffer. Like look at Nolan, for example. You can cut out the first
100%.
film, and it'll be okay.
And the last film is definitely subpar.
I know, but even the third film, you can be like, all right, you get enough from like you don't even need to watch Batman Begins to watch Dark Knight Rises. A lot of people didn't watch Batman Begins to watch because Batman Begins was actually one of the lowest grossing Batman movies.
Oh really?
Yeah, like
And Dark Knight was huge.
Dark Knight was massive.
Everywhere.
well, I think that's why it paid off well because Batman Begins didn't do like I think Batman '89 obviously at the time had done better. Like 'cause Batman '89 was like the biggest film in terms of comic books of all time at the time. Like because like people were stealing the posters from bus stops and stuff. Like,
Keep in mind, there was a lot of confusion about Batman Begins when it came out in terms of what it was.
Yeah.
This is before reboots.
Yeah.
Were like
a big thing
normal.
because like
and
even
everyone
you
knows
can
about
watch the
reboots.
original 4 Batman films and you can be like, okay, that's just the same Batman because it's the same Alfred, and you can
Yeah,
be
and
like,
you could
that's okay.
easily say that Batman Begins was set before that. It's not
Yeah.
very hard for someone who has a casual knowledge, who let's say had seen Batman maybe 89, 10 years beforehand, to say, oh, that's set before that, isn't it? Because I haven't seen it in like 10 years.
That's why Dark Knight works
When you get
well.
to the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight, it's like,
It's
oh,
like,
this
okay,
is
this is
the same thing.
Joker.
You
This
immediately
is a
know.
different film.
'Cause I'm trying to think, is there any characters that would in any way imply that it's not the same? Apart from the general designs.
Harvey Dent.
No, Batman Begins.
Oh, Batman Begins. Oh. Nah, don't think so.
Yeah, because it's all new villains, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially because, of course, they never got to show the origins of Batman in the original series, as Tim Burton was planning to do in his third film.
Yeah, that was going to be
Allegedly.
Batman Continues. The best name of a Batman film. Why did he think that would have been a good name? That would have been an awful name. Like, could you imagine that? Batman Continues.
Well, even Batman Returns is a fairly poor title because it insinuates
It doesn't
that
make
he was
any
gone.
sense. Yeah, it doesn't actually make sense. Batman Returns just means, oh, right, there's a new Batman, but it doesn't actually mean anything in terms of the actual film.
I remember years ago, me and my brother were chatting to me, man. It was years because we wanted to go back and watch the old films. So Batman for me when I was younger was Batman Begins and Batman and Robin because that was the 2 Batman films I owned.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin beforehand, so like I was a big Batman and Robin fan.
Yeah. Well, I know I used to love Batman Forever, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
why.
we wanted to go.
I think it was just because Jim Carrey was in it, and when you're a kid, Jim Carrey is the funniest person in the world.
He's still pretty funny, to be fair.
Aye, but
Depending
then
on
there's
the
some
thing.
ropey. Did you ever? I've never liked. I know this is such a tangent, but I've never liked Ace Ventura.
I've only seen the second one.
It's the most awful thing I've ever watched in my life.
Maybe I was gonna rewatch it. Maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, no, don't watch it. Because people are like asking for a third one. I'm like, no, I've only seen the first, and that was awful.
No, there already was a third Ace Ventura Jr.
Oh
Pet
yeah,
Detective.
yeah.
One of the many Jim Carrey sequels that didn't have Jim Carrey, such as Dumb and Dumber or When Harry Met Lloyd.
Well, I think this
Son
is
of the Mask.
I think there's a good aspect in
Heaven
terms of
almighty.
talking about cameos because we know with the Flash film, it's not going to be Flashpoint, but it will deal with parallel universes, such as Keaton's Batman returning.
Finally, you can call it Batman Returns.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. Easy. But like we're gonna have Affleck in there, And I saw a weird thing where apparently it's not going to be like Affleck. It's going to be like young Affleck.
Oh, no, that'd probably be both.
Yeah, because I was like, that's really
I wouldn't be
interesting.
surprised. It depends if they do it with Barry trying to stop his ma from dying.
Oh no, that's the plot.
Yeah, then that will probably be just when he goes back in time to do that.
Mm.
They'll have old Affleck in there because Affleck makes his suit.
I mean, that'll make sense in terms of, because if you think about it, well, Batman's in his late 40s.
Wait, they're gonna have young Affleck. They're gonna Pattinson. It's a prequel, right?
Yes, Colin Farrell is the Penguin in Ben Affleck's universe. But no, like, it's really interesting because we're gonna get a lot of cameos, but at the same time, I hope it's not gonna be a cameo fest. But I don't expect it to be a cameo fest because it's DC.
It has to be,
and they wouldn't really do that. But, huh?
I mean, we've already seen how a cameo fest can go poorly.
Yeah.
In the CW verse thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be anything like that whatsoever. But I think
like, that was poor.
Yeah, but I think
really
that's the reason why this is going to be happening in the Flash film, because they saw that the only interest in that crossover was the cameos. But I think Andy Muschietti, who's the director of it, and he did Mama and Chapter 2, I think he's gonna handle it well. I think because he is a good director, I think he is gonna deal with this well. And we've seen a lot of horror directors being hired by DC, which is weird,
I guess because they want to give each film a more unique look.
Yeah, but it's just strange how they get these, horror director, like James Wan for Aquaman, for example. That made it was kind of cool because he did deal with this well. It's like okay, this is what
Schneider,
this is.
I wouldn't call him horror, but like his films were rated R, pretty much all of them beforehand. Because what he done, it was like 300, Watchmen.
Yeah.
He didn't do Sucker Punch, did he?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen it.
I saw like half of it, and then I went to bed. I was like 10.
But like David F. Sandberg, for example, who's the director of Shazam, all he had done was horror films before that. So he did. He had never done like
Ayer hadn't done. What had Ayer done beforehand?
Well, Ayer makes sense because Ayer had done like Training Day, Was
he Looper or is it
that's Ryan Johnson. But no,
that's Ryan Johnson.
He did Fury. Like,
there's just so many.
Ayer does a really good job, and he is the perfect choice to do a Suicide Squad film. In terms of like a gritty one, in terms of he's great at because all his films are about a group of people, basically. It's never about one person and their journey. It's about a group of people, and I think that would have been dealt with well.
We can assume it was dealt with well. Often, I found ourselves where we've been kind of taking everything at kind of face value and assuming stuff's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Because Ayer's Suicide Squad could have been terrible, but it won't have been worse than what we got.
No. And I think, like, going back to like David F. Sandberg, it is weird the fact that Warner Bros. Hire these people who, yes, they'll go off and do something they haven't done before, which is nice for like experimentation. Because I think a lot of directors and writers and all like that, just doing something different just for a change, and seeing what they can do with it with their own style. Because like, look at what's his name, the director of Vice, for example, in The Big Short.
Wait, what's he done?
Adam McKay. Adam McKay did, The Other Guys, and Anchorman, and Anchorman 2, and Step Brothers.
He went really downhill.
No, he did all them, right? He was just known for doing that kind of a comedy and stuff, and those kind of films,
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, all that. Anchorman 2, and then he did The Big Short. and then he did Vice, which are both comedies, but they're very serious films in a sense at the same time. Like they're not necessarily they're not your like comedy goofy film. They're like a comedy in terms of like they deal with real dark things in a way. You know, they deal with the vice presidency of Dick Cheney, and you know the housing crash in America in the early 2000s, like. But they're, you know, I don't know. It's just very interesting to see directors do something different and do it really well. You know, because like David F. Sandberg, when he did Shazam, you can see his horror aspects in there with, what are they called again?
Those
you know, like fear, gluttony. I can't remember the name
They
of
were
them.
called the Seven Deadly Sins. Or
They were Seven Deadly Sins, yeah.
Which I think we'll see a lot more of in Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods.
Yeah, no, but the weird thing
Is he
about
coming
that
back
is
to direct
because
it?
yeah, no, he's doing the sequel. I think this is also another good thing about Warner Brothers. They do hire the director again.
MCU is starting to do that. MCU
Yeah.
is starting. Because
Um,
now we have directors kind of associated with the franchise.
we
and that-
do, but we don't, because
Find
like
out next time.
Doctor Strange's director left.
Yeah, but he left up. He was originally assigned to it.
No, because he left because of creative differences. I'm sure he was told to leave. He was like, right, if you're not gonna do this, we're doing it without you.
It's like Sam Raimi and Spider-Man 4. or Tim
Yeah,
Burton, Batman
it's gonna be
Forever.
very weird for Sam Raimi to do another.
Is he even confirmed yet? Like, do we know?
Oh yeah, no, he is doing
what's
it.
happening?
Sure, they're actually starting filming in like January or pre-production or whatever in January.
That'll be good.
But like, you know, I think DC, they'll always be all right, no matter how many bad films they make. They'll always come back with a gem that's better than anything Marvel's ever made. You know, and it's kind of interesting. 'Cause I want to see, because I know Todd Phillips wants to do more like black label films like Joker, like more gritty, realistic ones. So it'll be interesting to see, because I know, I can't remember who, there was a writer saying he wants to do a very similar Joker, but with Mr. Freeze, for example. And I was like,
That'd be very
that could work.
interesting to do a Mr. Freeze one.
Because Mr. Freeze went from a joke of a villain to a very emotionally, a very sad, backstory.
And then immediately back to a joke
Yeah.
because of Arnold.
Because of Arnold. Yeah, literally, because it was animated series that saved him, and it was a Cold Heart.
Yeah.
And it is one of the best episodes in the entire show, and even in animated, like out of anything animated, basically, because it is just this really. Because it's kind of interesting, because in all the Batman episodes before that, it's just like, all right, Batman's gonna beat the bad guy because they're bad and stuff. But when it comes to Mr. Freeze, it's like he's not really a bad person. He's just doing this to save his wife.
They
Like,
did the same thing with Harley Quinn as well.
yeah,
Well, not Mad Love wasn't until like season 4 though.
yeah.
Well, they did the episode. I think it was Harley's Holiday or something. The one where she gets out of Arkham.
Oh yeah, it's weird. There's
And then
some
it's
weird
like,
episodes.
She tries to live a normal life, and then the world shits on her.
Yeah.
Then there was episodes like the guy who became the Olympic runner who became a werewolf from taking steroids.
Yeah, I don't like. There's some episodes that are genuinely terrible. Because, like, I know in, like, the first season, there's the one where it's, like, and I hate watching it, I always skip it, but it's the one where it's, like, Batman's goes in the sewers, and there's this man who has, like, a ton of children as slaves going to the surface and stuff, and he has, like, crocodiles. And Batman's like wrestling a crocodile, and it is the most awful episode ever. Like, it's genuinely terrible, and I always skip it because it's not even about Batman. Because Batman's like unconscious for most of the episodes. It's about like this kid who can't speak. It's really strange. Like, it's such a strange episode.
Yeah, but to be fair to the animated series, its playing risks often paid off. Like there's a handful people act like it's the greatest show of all time. There's nothing wrong with it. There's quite a lot of shit episodes in it, but the ones that are good are really good. Like Baby Doll,
And then like
is amazing.
then you have Mask of the Phantasm.
Phenomenal.
Which is sublime. Like it is genuinely an amazing film. And it's very underrated, but I do like the fact that it is coming more to light now. Like a lot of people, ever since like the Blu-ray release of the animated series box set, a lot of people have like started to watch it more. Yeah, you know, especially like Batman Beyond's getting a lot more traction now, and people want like a Batman Beyond film. I don't really see it happening at all, but
I could see a live action show happening at Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I could see like a HBO Max, with like
or maybe
I
even
think
a HBO Max film, but
because like I think Keaton would be the best choice.
I'd rather have Keaton do a Batman Beyond than have Keaton do a Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah,
simply because I think we've seen enough of Dark Knight Returns.
And I don't think you can like
whether it be Affleck, Dark Knight Rises, or even the animated film of Dark Knight Returns, which is quite good.
Because I don't think you can like deal with it well with Keaton. Like Keaton's just like, I don't know if you could do it with Keaton.
You'd need Nicholson.
Yeah, and you're not going to get Nicholson, and yeah, no.
And you need Brandon Routh as Superman.
Yeah.
I know they're not really connected, but I think that's as close as you can kind of get to have.
Well, everyone does connect them anyways.
Yeah, because
makes sense.
Not even at the same time. Like Superman 4 was up before Batman 89.
Yeah,
I think, wasn't it? Am I right?
No, was it not the 90s?
Oh, please tell me that film was in the 90s.
No, it mustn't have been. Must have been. That would be no, definitely not. That would make sense, right?
87. It was 87.
Okay, so 2 years makes sense.
Yeah.
You could still connect them. 2 years, like yeah. Yeah.
I know there was intended to be a Superman 5, but
obviously
Superman
with
4
Reeve. Yeah. Well, and Reeve as well. But
no, even before that, because Reeve's accident, I think, was like 95.
It was late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
That was a shame. He missed the amount of roles he could have gotten as an older actor.
Oh, he would be Christopher Reeve is good though. No, he genuinely he would be like Keaton today nearly, but like you know how like Keaton's had a resurgence now and stuff like in like the 2000s, 2010s, like he would have had that in before 2010, sort of like the early 2000s and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just what a shame. It's mad to think he's dead.
He died in 2004.
Yeah. Because he was meant to have a cameo in Superman Returns, like.
That's 2006, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We cameoed in Smallville.
Yeah. But.
Which I think people now think of more when they think of Superman in the 2000s and Superman Returns.
Yeah. I don't. Because everyone viewed that as, oh, sure, this is just a prequel to, Reeves' Superman.
It's kind of set up to be.
It's set up to be, but at the same time, it's not.
Like early on in the show, you can kind of say it, but in the end, like
it's like really Darkseid. Reeve fought Darkseid. So this doesn't make sense.
What else? Yeah. Oh, Christ.
Like I really do love the way they've always cast Superman, where it's always been right. You have to get like if you look at Reeve.
They cast Clark Kent before they cast Superman.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yeah. Because like Clark Kent's quite awkward compared to playing Superman is probably a very easy job.
Much easier. Always love you've seen the thing what Reeve said he wore to the interview.
Oh, the big sweater to make him look bulkier.
Yeah, he said it look bulkier. So
yeah. He went off and got like
just like such a Clark Kent thing to do.
Oh yeah. That's why it was just like really well. Whereas like Cavill does play the down Superman well, but he also does play like a hopeful one at the same time well. If you know what I mean, like he does a really good job at balancing both. Like yes, he can be that hopeful Superman, but at the same time he does play not the dark Superman. Well, he does play dark Superman well. We saw in the nightmare sequence in BVS, but like he could play any Superman. Yeah, he could play any Superman really well. I think that's really good for him. Whereas when you see Brandon Ruth, like, it's like I can only see you be like the really hopeful guy and not really the dark one. It's like I know you're Kingdom Come Superman, but
Well, I mean, he wore the Kingdom Come suit.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll be back. People are wanting him to be back.
Yeah.
For maybe
I could see him because like they've gotten the
Flashpoint.
Superman and Lois show. I can so see him getting like a CW show rather than HBO Max one.
I would see it being HBO Max rather than CW. I'd rather be HBO Max than CW.
Oh yeah, I
Fuck
rather,
the
but
CW
I
shows.
think if it's ever gonna happen,
I hate the CW shows.
Yeah.
Used to be a fan. First season of Flash.
I was never
watchable.
interested. I always think, oh, maybe I'll go watch Arrow. I was like, no.
First, I always find it funny to watch Arrow fan because they always say like season like 1, 2, and 3 were like amazing, or maybe 1 and 2. But it was just such a rip off of Nolan's trilogy.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's trying to be,
Especially
basically.
Season 1 of Arrow.
Yeah.
But like then it got really weird when it went very supernatural.
Yeah. Wasn't it like after like season 3 or whatever?
Well, season 3 was the one when by season 3 the Flash was already on
Yeah.
there, and that was kind of when it started going a bit. Because I think like season 2, I think was the Deathstroke one,
Yeah.
and actually we've had nothing but like quite good Deathstroke live action suits.
Well, they've been like even the bad ones have looked pretty good, like for low budget, like.
Yeah,
The Deathstroke's sort of like that cool, easy one to do. I
it's like
imagine.
Deadpool. It's hard to mess it up.
Yeah.
There's some suits that it's quite easy to make. Like we've pretty much had nothing but good Superman suits.
Batman suits, for example. I've enjoyed them, as much as the Supermans, because like I think Batman, for example, like I always preferred the Batman Begins suit to the Dark Knight one.
I think the face looks better on it. There's something really off about the face on the Dark Knight one.
Yeah,
Like,
it looks
doesn't
very
look good in close-ups.
ovally. It's very oval.
Yeah, it's like too thin. His head looks very squashed and
Because
stuff.
Batman's his face is very squarish or rectangular, if you know what I mean. Or at least it has a bit more of that. Like if you look at
Wait, hang on.
Affleck,
Did you
for
seriously
example.
just say that we haven't had bad Batman suits?
Well, don't talk. We're not talking about Adam West.
I'm not talking about Adam West.
Oh, you're talking about.
I'm talking about Clooney.
Yeah, well, the thing with Clooney, it was of its time in a way. I know what they were going for. It made sense in terms of I understood why it was white.
There's one more bad Batman suit.
Which one?
Gotham.
Oh no, we don't talk about that. No. Gotham will not be mentioned on this podcast. But no, I do prefer the Batman Begins suit because it's like, all right, it looks like a. I know it just looks really good, and I'm just annoyed that we never saw it. It looks terrible in the Dark Knight. The Batman Begins suit
What,
looks
the same
terrible
suit?
in the Dark Knight. Yeah, it looks awful in the Dark
Really?
Knight. You know when he's, but
this-
it looks bad in that one scene. You know when he's talking to Alfred in the vault. It always looks really weird, and it just doesn't. It looks like a man in cosplay. Whereas, like in Batman Begins, it's like, oh no, this looks cool. Like
It was all the lighting though.
Yeah, because it's more of bluish lighting, and there's more of a bluish
Dark Knight.
scheme in Dark Knight, and then Batman Begins is like right orange. We're going for tungsten,
Yeah.
right? We're going.
Dark Knight Rises didn't really have a color scheme, did it?
Dark Knight Rises was very Nolan at that point. It was Inception and
Yeah.
Interstellar. No, at that point it was a
Yeah.
Nolan film.
Yeah. I see what you mean. It looks like the rest of them, especially the fucking establishing shots of the city being blown up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just so Nolan. And then you have stuff like, yeah. I don't want to have a big tangent about Nolan. I was gonna start talking about Nolan. I was like, no, I'm not having a big tangent about Nolan.
The State of Sin Company.
Yeah. Well, Syncopy's always weird because it's like the only films they've ever produced are basically every Nolan film from I can't remember, it was like Batman Begins and then it's just like, all right, Man of Steel.
And then it's nothing. It's then it's like the rest of the Nolan ones, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like alright, Tenet, Interstellar. But like the weird thing is, Nolan is executive producer on BVS, and he is in Justice League. So he does have some. I assume it's just right here. Just do this. I'll give you money. Sort of a job more than he consults Zack about stuff.
But he didn't have anything to do with Wonder Woman, did he?
No, who? Nolan.
Nolan.
No. That Zack produced that one. Zack was producer on that.
Well, Zack produced Suicide Squad as well, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah,
He's produced all the other ones. Actually, I don't think he's done.
No, he's only done them two. Like he didn't do Shazam, he didn't do Aquaman, he didn't do, Birds of Prey. Air produced Birds of Prey.
Speaking of Aquaman.
Aquaman 2.
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard. Controversial topic. Well, it's a very weird topic. Like, I don't pick any side, Nick. I don't really know the story of it. Realistically, I think it's more of an issue. I think the media has gotten too into it. You have people doing petitions and stuff. It's like,
frankly, I think either remove them both or keep them both.
Yeah, I think you should play it exactly fair. It's like one, don't prioritize one over the other. It's like right. Yeah. If you if they said we're getting rid of Amber Heard, I'd be like, right, get rid of Johnny Depp in your projects as well. It's like I take both sides in terms of it's a personal issue. It's a personal matter. We shouldn't really be, into it in a way like that. People have done like massive petitions about it. No, I'm not taking any sides in this. I'm just saying I don't take any side in this issue.
We don't want to be too controversial, but we do think that either keep them both or get rid of them both.
Yeah. I don't think you should prioritize one over the other at all.
Because it will be a lot of negative press for Aquaman 2 if she's in
people will boycott it.
Tour. People will boycott Aquaman 2 because people wanted. Was it Emilia Clarke to take the role?
There's a lot. There's Emilia Clarke. There is Emily Blunt, I think, was one.
I wouldn't want Emilia Clarke.
You wouldn't?
No, I feel
I wouldn't either. I know why they've chosen it though.
It's Momoa.
No, I know why they've done it. Yeah, because the chemistry with Momoa would be good, and I understand that aspect of it. It's just like because these two work together, they know each other, well. But apparently the new one will be a lot more grounded compared to that, and I'm okay with that. And then we have like the Trench movie, the Trench horror movie.
I know Momoa has said that his Aquaman is a sequel to the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes.
And it makes sense because the ending of the Snyder Cut is
him going off with Mira.
No, it's not that. It's Mira being like, "All right, come on, do you want to come to Atlantis?" He's like, "Nope," which makes perfect sense because at the start of Aquaman, she's like. He's like, oh no, I don't want to talk to you again. Don't convince me again. Like it's like, well, we didn't really, see that.
I wonder if Tamara Morrison's gonna be on Snyder Cut.
I doubt it.
Maybe cameo.
No, I don't think he will be, because at this point, like all we had was Amber Heard as Mira, and we had, Willem Dafoe, and that's all we can have. Because I know King Atlan's going to be in this movie in like the 10-minute sequence of with you have young Darkseid, and he's played by a different actor.
King Atlan. Oh, he's played by a different actor.
Oh, he's played by a different actor.
I guess he's supposed to be way younger.
Yeah, well, no, it makes sense to be sort of at the same time, doesn't it?
I mean, we don't need to get into my issues of David Thewlis not being in the
Well, I think the thing with David Thewlis is it sort of makes sense not to have David Thewlis because that character looks different constantly.
Yeah.
I'm very okay with that. I think that's what's really good because you can have stuff.
I'm saying we
boycott the movie.
Release the Thewlis cut. Release the Thewlis cut.
Well, if people aren't aware, Adam actually looks a lot like David Thewlis.
I don't look anything like David Thewlis.
Frank Miller.
Okay, David Thewlis instead of Frank Miller.
It's like if you got
I like those two people look nothing alike. So the image you're giving is
It's pretty strange. People are like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
What
No,
does
because
that mean?
people are going to look up Frank Miller and they're going to be like, oh, the old version of Frank Miller. Not the photo of Frank Miller signing some comic books with hair and a goatee. No, I sort of sussed that out for people. That's what you look like. Whereas I actually
don't
look
look
like no one.
I don't exactly look like that, but
Yeah.
100 views and face reveal.
100 views. We may as well just say 10 views for a face reveal. 1 view even.
If this gets a view that isn't one of us.
We'll do a live stream. Oh dear, that would be terrible. Imagine us live streaming this.
That'd be awful.
That would be awful.
You never know what's going to happen.
So yeah, no, that is that's the first episode. That's the state of the DCEU.
Yeah, it's the state of the DCU.
Any final thoughts? Nothing to say.
I mean, we didn't even mention Black Adam or James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
Well,
better luck next time.
Yeah, better luck next time. Next week,
Think about
the state of Jared Leto's beard.
State of Jared Leto.